Okay, my name is Bobby Hemmett. We're back here at the Hall of Mayat, waiting on CP time for the gathering to start, And we know that CP time is all over the country. If we say 3, we mean 4. Or if you mean 4, you better say 3. Or if you mean 3, you better say 2. And like I said, when I was in Philadelphia, we said 2. They got there at 6. I don't know. I guess that's because they were the Philadelphia Negroes, which is indentured servants. So they wasn't on the, some of them wasn't on the slave time, like like the rest of us. So I guess there was some of the Moors also too. So they got there at 6. So they were still entrenched in African time. But then again, that's the way it is in Africa, and that's the way it is in most tropical countries. And civilization, they get there when the people get there. So, and I guess that is a reason why we don't do too well in this linear time, which is interesting because come to find out that even white folks in warm countries don't do well. It was talking about when Hitler went to Italy, had the Germans doing the little step like this, and the Italians was doing about to kill themselves and all because they're from a warmer climate. So I guess that's what it has a lot to do with. And then, like Freeman said, we are in the South, so that makes it even double time. So you got the CP time, and then you got Alabama time. So that just makes it even more. But we're back at the Hall of Mayat. The Hall of Mayat is an alternative place now just for space. What's going on around the country is 2 things. Talk radio is becoming exclusively white, and they're forcing any type of talk radio out amongst black people in all the countries that have problems. All the cities they have problems. So talk radio. Another thing is space. They're applying pressure to people who have certain buildings that have taken government subsidies. They're now telling them that they don't have the right to operate with anything alternative other than what the government is saying. So now you have space as a problem. All in New York, everywhere I go around the country, people are having problems with space. It started back in '95 when they kicked UAM, that's the United African Movement, out of a place called the Slave Theater in Brooklyn, New York. And they had to bounce around for 2 years until they found a space that they can have into the point where they weren't vulnerable. And I think it's trickled down here to Atlanta. I've been speaking for 10 years now. It will be 10 years in June. And for the first time in November, they told me I couldn't speak at the Afrocentric Temple because of, in so many words, 501c3, which is tax exempt. So therefore, nonprofit organizations, I guess the government is saying, you've taken our money so you can't be hobnobbing with the enemy. So anyway, it's just a matter of space and just a matter also with greed with our own people sometimes, charging so much money. That's another thing. So now we blessed, if there's such a word, to have the brother Pierre, and he just produced this Hall of Mayat. And the Hall of Mayat is here. Also giving you another side of Atlanta, because the West End, we kind of did that to death. So the Hall of Mayat is come forth so we can continue the struggle and also provide facilities for other people to do things. So get used to this for you in the audience and the people in TV land. Now, to give a little aspect on Mayat, I'm going to give a general synopsis on Mayat coming from classical writers, and then I'll give you my own version of that. And then we'll introduce the speaker, and also we'll go through the calendar. The classical sources say, without this African goddess, the whole process of creation and constant renewal would have been meaningless. She symbolized the laws of existence, the law, truth, and the worlds of order. Judges were thought to and also the cyclical nature of life would have been impossible without her. She was the food and the drink to Ra. She is represented wearing a ostrich feather, which comes to be the symbol, which comes to be a symbol of truth. Now, in so many words, your scales that you would have in, the scales that you would also have in your justice system here, your whole entire court, any type of ballots, and you have the rod, the staff, the scale, anything that's dealing with also double numbers represents Ma'at. To take this a little further, Ma'at not only means balance as far as law and the physical proceedings of life, but it also has something to do with the balance of equilibrium into the spirit and the physical, but also it's also the coming together of a spiritual process that balances out where man rises from the animal level of the physical person to the spiritual God and goddesses. And as you will see, the brother C. Freeman always quotes, down here it's about becoming gods. Anything else, you just wasting time. You just masturbating. And that is the true process of the mysteries. There's several other things that came out of the mysteries as a byproduct, but the ultimate aim of the mysteries of Africa was to get back to gods and goddesses, or the divine deity. And that is one of the synopsis of what the mysteries is all about. The other thing here is Ma'at represents on the esoteric level when the process of the God making, where all the forces come together with some form of hard work, meditation, some type of epiphany, or some type of metamorphosis. When all of that come together, that's represented as Ma'at. In alchemy, it's represented as the great work. They have several names. You see what I'm saying? In so many words, it's represented as the Christ, or Christos, crystallizing. It's represented as Achet, which means unity. The pyramid, it has so many names and so many words, metamorphosis, transformation. The end result is that of Ma'at. Is that of Ma'at. The word Ma'at is also the word Met. You get the word Met is another name for Ma'at. The word Ma'at is a twofold word. You get Ma, M-A, which means mother, and At, which means Atan, also means the son. So it's a double thing, a male and female entity balancing out also. But we're talking above the physical. Then we're talking about the balancing of the both right and left brain, masculine, feminine, which goes back to the divine feminine, Mother Zudakaias, or the great mother. Now, a few other things at the Hall of Ma'at. Number one we want to put on the tape is at 4187 Snap Pringle Woods Drive in Decatur, Georgia. The number is 678-570-0736. Now, if you live in Atlanta, basically, for the people out in TV land, when you get this, is you take 20 west?
East.
20 east to Wesley Chapel. You make a left on Wesley Chapel and just find the $3 cafe. And directly behind the $3 cafe, you'll find another little strip mall. And basically, look for the Hall of Ma'at. So this is, we want to clarify this for the people out there in TV land. But on Sundays, we'll be having Brother C. Freeman, and we will adjust our CP time on this the next time so we can, see what we can do. From 3 p.m. to 5, which I'll give a little brief introduction of Brother C. Freeman also, teaching on Moorish science. And it's going to be a 12-week course. I don't know how many. And so on Wednesdays, we will have Sister Myra. She's an astrologer and a spiritual consultant, speaking from 7 p.m. to 8:30. That's on Wednesdays. On Saturdays, if to be announced, I will be speaking, doing my lecture thing, whatever. And for those people that don't know me and all, I'm quite infamous, and with no scruples. So be warned. Okay. And then we have Umrani Ani, who is the president of ASCAC, will be the guest speaker on some coming Saturdays, right? And also coming soon, we got Dr. Timothy Moore. He wrote a book called The Science of Melanin. Is he still at Morehouse? Is he still at Morehouse?
No, Georgia State.
Georgia State. He used to be at Morehouse. Dr. Timothy Moore, who wrote a book called The Science of Melanin. He'll be coming soon, as well as Ashwa Kwesi, the great lecturer that deals with the historical origins of Christianity. He'll be dealing with the Black Christ, Judaism, and Christianity. 2 lectures on the stolen religions of Africa, and that is coming soon too. So just keep just keep on the lookout. Also, to get further information and also my tapes, as well as a host of other things, is you need to get in touch with online, as well as a mail order company by the name of Arkansas. The number is 404-344-6862. Ask for Sister Deborah and Wesley Morris, and to get plugged on into the whole online and mail order, and you pick up locally to get plugged in on that particular aspect, the Arkansas. But also on online is www.siriustimes.com. That's SIRUIS. Sirius, the Star Sirius. SiriusTimes.com. Also. Now, I want to give a brief introduction to Brother C. Freeman. C. Freeman has been teaching in the community for quite some years. I know I first met him in the fall of 92, the end of 92, and at the first of 1993, started taking meditation classes and Moorish science classes, and was one of the first students that came to cultural communication and took his class and all. But although he had done educated previous people prior to that. But as far as I think that the general community on a larger scale in Atlanta and abroad started knowing about him when we tapped this thing off in the early 90s, in 1993. In 1993. So he is actually a pioneer as well. He is actually a pioneer in making people aware of giving the people the awareness of the esoteric sciences. And what we want to say is that is because in the latter part of the 1980s, we had a resurgence of African knowledge. Basically, the history that linked our origins back to ancient Kemet and ancient Egypt, ancient Africa, more so than the first. We had several of these particular Renaissance periods. The one prior to that was the late 60s, early 70s, where we got into more of the Swahili, West African, and still on more of a liberation type front aspect, where we had different, and even the African clothes came. But we didn't tap back into the ancient science, and although we had several Renaissance periods, you see in the 20s, and then you had your whole, in the 30s you had Noble Ali, you had Elijah Muhammad. We always had these Renaissance periods where black people went to sleep and woke up. But this time, when we woke up, we were talking about ancient primordial history, but most of the people, the first wave were historians. So they talked about the history, then they talked about the mystery, but the historians were not mystery teachers. And so people were asking, what is the mystery? What is the mystery? At this particular time, I had gone through the whole historical thing, and I was just starting my journey into teaching the mystery system. When I started, will be 10 years in June of this year. I started in 92, and right at that particular time, right after I had done like 2 or 3 lectures, C. Freeman came out of the veil and had been teaching this stuff for years prior. The key here is the mystery started rolling around, and to this day, we only have a few people that even deal with the esoteric sciences as far as from, we didn't have the amount of speakers that dealt with the esoteric sciences of this particular information as we did the historians. Now, the key here is, the problem is nobody knew what the mysteries was. And what we didn't realize that the Europeans, about 130 years, had usurped the mysteries of going into Kemet and also having a conserved and preserved all of the history left behind by the Moors in Spain, and they renamed it the New Age, or the occult teachings, or the esoteric teachings. And so what we didn't know, most of the people were saying, what is the mysteries? And the historians were basically dumbfounded in the aspect that they really couldn't tell them about the mystery. They were saying that the mysteries was the 7 liberal arts and basically whatever they got from George G.M. James' book, Stolen Legacy. But the Europeans had already usurped this particular information about 140 years prior in a Renaissance period, we'll just say the late 19th century, but had preserved this particular information from the University of Salamanca, the 16 other universities that took place in 700 years of history of the actual Moors teaching the Europeans. They preserved that particular information and called it the New Age. So that was the mystery. And so as a result, we came in, and the last 10 years has been built on basically fusing the Afrocentric history back into the New Age and reconstituting it back into black, where we know it came from. You see, that was one of the phases. And this man, C. Freeman was a pioneer in doing that. And although we're going around 10 years of this particular movement, it's still considered a small movement compared to the whole historical thing. But that's good, because on any mystery system, the mystical side is always an underground movement or a secret movement. So everything lines up the way it's supposed to. Separate the chumps from the monks. You know, many are called, but few are chosen. And so, in so many words, I don't want to take up any more time. The brother C. Freeman is a master teacher on multiple levels. When we say Moorish science, we're not just putting this, categorizing this into the sect of Moors where you have just the noble Drew Ali perspective, although that is one that needs to be cataloged as a great movement and a significant movement in the Western black drive to knowledge. You see what I'm saying? That's overshadowed a lot of times by the Nation of Islam and the whole Elijah Muhammad thing, but then again, on the other hand, it has now become to the point where it's surviving the Nation of Islam, because the Moorish aspect was never, if you want to put it, prostituted in the aspect where you would have this national phenomenon that everybody know about the Nation of Islam, because it was one that was on the border, or on the periphery. What you have is something that is much more cohesive when we deal with the Moorish science. That's just with that particular aspect. Then we go back to the Moors in Spain, and the Moors back to the Moria, the whole. I'll let him explain all this, but I want to say these lectures are not necessarily just based on a particular sectarian form of teaching. Moorish science just means basically the ancient arcane science of the ancient people that first seeded this planet, in so many words, lords of the earth. So to not take up any more of your time, I want to introduce to you and give a black hand to Brother C. Freeman
the history that we received in the classroom, and that's from kindergarten to college, was a prescribed history. The intent was to bring the American colored man nearer to his European master, to maintain a level of subserviency. Now, this concept, subserviency, does not necessarily mean bound by chains. It also means job. The idea that clearly states that is that if you have a job for 20 years and your boss buys 6 houses in 20 years and you still got an apartment, you're serving. Okay, you see, and pretty much of this input of human labor that the dark-skinned, broad-nosed, thick-lipped, and furrowed-haired human being in America contributed to American success has been on a subserving level. So we became educated, trained to serve. So history became a tool to enhance that ordeal, that proposal, that program, that project. See? In terms of looking back at our contemporary parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, see? Except for that few exceptions that were able to claim their own, start their own business, and get a grip on their lives and take it in the direction in which they wanted. The masses of black Americans were miseducated. See? A concept coined by Carter Woodson in the 30s, you know, the miseducation of the Negro. A very clear concept. And at the time that he wrote it, he was so far ahead of his time that it became relevant about 10 years ago at Spelman College when what's the sister's name became president and gave that book to all of the freshman women at Spelman College. And it was a revelation for them. You know, it wasn't old news. You see, it was something new to come to this realization that black folks in this country had been deliberately and calculatively duped about one of the most serious aspects of human life, and that is the aspect of identity. See? Of being miseducated is the same idea of being misdirected. For instance, the stores are up here. I'm walking up the street there, and this brother comes along and says, "Brother, where's the supermarket?" I said, "Down there." And like a brother did me, over on Ashby. I'm glad I thought of that. I had walked from West End to Ashby trying to find, I can't even think of the brother's name now, that has the old Muslim temple over there on Ashby. His name will pop back in my mind. And I came up to this Muslim brother selling papers. I said, "Brother, where is so-and-so building?" You know, he said, "Back up that way." And I was a half a block from the place. You know? This is a black man, you know. You know? That's misdirection and miseducation. See? Now that's one, multiply that times 20 million, 30 million, 40 million people. If you wonder why our parents didn't get anything done, see? They weren't doing their revelation, their vision, their insight. They were doing the European American's business, his vision, how to get him rich, how to use the labor. Why I'm making these statements is to give emphasis on the importance of knowing who you are, what you are, and where you are. These are the three missing keys to the center of Afro-American, Negro-American, colored American, African-American culture. This is what's been missing. In all of the books that you have read and are in the bookstores, these three keys do not sit at the center of all of those books. Okay? And that includes the concept of Africa, the concept of Ethiopian, the concept of black man, the concept of Afro-American. Those are all concepts of miseducation. As harsh as that may sound. For one reason, they did not define them. See? I remember I met this brother, and you all know this brother. His name is Professor White. I ran into him on the 5th floor in the Atlanta Public Library, and he was teaching a couple of brothers up there about the mounds and the pyramids and so forth. And I forget how I got in the conversation. It was some misuse of the term Africa or African. And I just butted in and said, well, brother, what does the concept African mean? And he paused for this long period of minutes, you know. And my intent was not to deliberately embarrass him, but it was just because he was being so didactic, so insistent that he was right, and only what he said was the truth. And that bothers me from anybody. Hell, I'll get up and say something to the preacher if I think he's doing that. Because I'm Sagittarius. And he paused, and you could, when your eyes dart left, right, left, right, left, right, you're searching in your memory banks for either the answer or some fill-in, and that's what he was doing. And he came up with something so far off the wall that I wouldn't even dignify it. I said, no, that is not what it means. Well, what does it mean then? I said, I'm not going to tell you because you didn't admit that you didn't know. So I left him hanging there, you know. But it dawned on me in the mid-'70s that I did not know what the word Africa meant. I mean, it just came to me. You know, read since '66, I've been reading books on Africa. And it never even came to my mind during that time to ask that this word had a meaning, or to think that it had a meaning. So I went to the dictionary. I went to the word Africa. It's not in there. Until I got to map. And there's this map called Africa. That's the definition it gives in the dictionary. Really interesting. See? And it was, I mean, a yearning thing. And this is one of the interesting things about self-knowledge, the universe, and you and your will. If you yearn for your truth, you will attract it. You will draw it by book, by person, by lecture, by letter, by dream, by vision, by revelation. You will draw it to you. That's how powerful you are as a being in this universe. Because you are a replica of this universe. See? The universe owes you your identity. It is a part of your natural inheritance. See? And it belongs up here. I'm pointing to the prefrontal lobes, not back here, because that's where it is. Where you can't go reach it and get it at any given time, except on those quick flashes where something releases an idea, a picture, a recall that makes you think. It makes you ask the question, well, who am I? What am I? Jet Magazine published a statement about a brother in '66 when they were doing black art conferences around the country, the first period of that time. And this one university professor, a Negro colored fellow, got up and ran out of the conference room screaming, I'm not black, I'm not black. You know, this is a grown man, a teacher, was terrified and horrified by the idea of being called a black man. See, that's how deflated the ego and the psyche of our people were. That was an extreme, but it certainly was indicative of the real problem, of the lack of, the absence of identity, you see. And from 66 to 71, no one dealt clearly with that until Yosef ben Yochanan published Black Man in the Nile. That's the beginning of the new cultural renaissance, if you want to know who to attribute it to. But he was standing, of course, on many men's shoulders, including his teacher, George M. James. But he's standing essentially on J.A. Rogers. Can't hear me? Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay. Standing essentially on the shoulders of J.A. Rogers, who's the author of about 9 different books. And this is the particular one that brings that revelation straight home. And this book has been around since 1954. And it still has not gotten to the classroom of any public high school, college, junior high school, grade school, YMCA school. See? I got it. You can't see it from back there, but I'm going to let you see it. Don't try to read the whole thing. I just want you to see the title. Just read the title and pass it across and pass it back. I want everyone to take a look at that. There's a psychology structure in the human brain that allows behavior to take a leap forward when it's properly orientated. It is neutral in terms of the law of polarity concerning success and failure. We are by nature in need of conditioning or programming. Of course, we refer to the concept of being brainwashed. But brainwashed is not a valid term. It's really conditioning. You can be conditioned to fail, or you can be conditioned to succeed. But it's a conditioning. The proper, of course, is to be conditioned to succeed. And involved in that success plan and plot is knowing who you are. It's a part of your psychology that gets correct behavior, correct response. See? We have the example of the child who becomes a problem from the parental point of view because the child doesn't seem to want to do what the parents say. Until you call the child by a positive. Come here, sweetie. Come here, honey. Come here, baby. Come here, sugar. Come here. And the baby smiles and gets up and comes, you see. But as soon as you balk, scream, and shout, you shut down the child's inner structures, the faculties that allows proper behavior, you see. It's the same idea if you call your child every day, and some mothers do this, believe it or not, and it should be in Wrigley's, believe it or not. Come in, nigga, to a child. I mean, I'm not talking 50 years ago, I'm talking about yesterday, you know. If we want to know what the problem is in terms of all of this negative behavior we still see. Of course, it's not as worse as it was 10 years ago when it wasn't even talk, it was shoot, you know. Misnomer, being misnamed, and miseducated, misdirected. So we're trying to still find this piece that's missing in our psychological mechanisms that allows right behavior, successful behavior, achieving behavior, unfolding behavior. Where has it been all of these years? A, hidden. Where? In the Masonic order. In esoteric schools of thought. In literatures that never got to the places our parents were going to buy things. Because in 1955, there was probably no such thing as an African-American bookstore. That's a recent invention of approximately 30, 35 years, you see, where a large segment of relevant books put in one place, see. In the Masonic order, you take an oath not to tell what you learn. See? So it closes at that door. Noble Drew Ali's group started around 1922, where he and his followers, a little handful of people, began dealing with the concept of nationality as a movement in terms of the Holy Moorish Science Temple of America, what he founded, and brought forward this partial explanation of identity as a nationality. See? And the concept that deals with your psychology is this concept. Can you see that back there? Okay. Your ethnic identity. See, because nationality-wise, we're all Americans. It doesn't matter what your ethnicity is. You're a citizen of America. The ethnic identity deals with your blood, your brain, and the stuff in your blood, your genetic code that keeps making dark skin, broad nose, thick lips, and furrowed hair, wherever mama is on the planet. That's the key to your ethnicity. The other concept is eponymy, the eponymistic state. You'll find, I don't think I'll do that, go to the dictionary. It's in the dictionary, a very important word that shows that if the father takes a wife, impregnates his wife, moves to a certain land or property, gives his wife his name, and gives his child his name, and gives his land his name. That's the eponymistic state of existence. The name that you will find that relates to that is this name. Okay. Can you read that? That's the way Yochanan wrote it, Misraim. Misraim in the Bible. I think this is MZR, if I'm not mistaken. The first clear evidence of that is Misraim. The one that begins the handle of that is this man's name. Ham, whose name is not Ham, but is Cam, whose name is not Cam, but is which is pronounced in most literatures as Hammurabi. This is three names. Cam-mur-rabi. Black fire. Lord of the earth. Master teacher. Kamur-rabi, or Hammurabi, which is referred to as the lawgiver. Then Bobby mentioned this, that we don't have that much proof of in terms of of historical fact, because we're talking a past that is legend more than it is artifice. See, what verifies the past is the artifice found by those who search the soil, the earth, to find the evidence of a past. Kamur Rabi, Lemuria, and Mitzrayim are the major keys in terms of research. This is considered to be a Hebrew name, so what one should do is retranslate it back to where it comes from rather than what it's translated into. We know if they were Africans, they didn't have Hebrew names, or at least we should know that much. But first we need to know what Hebrew is and what it means before we even do that. In the American English Dictionary, right after the word black elder, you will find the word blackamoor in this book. It's been there. It's been there since Noah Daniel Webster structured this English American dictionary. He's not the author of the original English dictionary. That's Edward Johnson of England. Remember that this is an English language we speak, which means it's a Latin language we speak. I won't spend the time paging through that, but just keep in mind in terms of evidence written, you'll find the concept blackamoor. Then you'll find the concept Moor. And it's interesting to read both of those. Moor is given in the dictionary as anyone living in North Africa. I bought a 1958 Funk and Wagnall dictionary at Goodwill in the West End for 25 cents. And the reason I bought it because I turned right to the B's and looked up blackamoor. And it said, Negro, dark skin, black person. And then in parentheses, a word no longer used. Blew me away, blew me away. So the evidence is available but scattered. It's not in one place. No one intended for it to be in one place. If you wonder why it has taken so long to even come to this point of having a level of insight to this clarity of identity. To know what it means is to give, again, to give back the prestige to your thinking. When you can think with the idea of being Lord of the earth, you see, a concept that we don't fully cognize, you know, from this subservient level in which we've been operating. See, but to raise a child who senses as well as consciously knows that he is by his nature named Lord of the earth is to give a new psychology to a human being, which means you're making another kind of human being who thinks from his highest or her highest vantage point in her or his nature. That's its other plus, its other benefit. You change psychologies when a child knows who he or she is and can think from that vantage point. If they're not thinking from that vantage point, they're inflicted with the illusion of inferiority as a complex. See? Anytime you think less of yourself, it is indicative of a complex. And what I like about the concept illusion is that exactly what it is and what it was meant to be was to create the illusion of being inferior. You see? And it worked. They created the illusion. They created the Negro in America. You see, that's why a Negro has no rights. He has no past. He has no accomplishments. He's achieved absolutely nothing. It was the Moor who achieved, who has the past. The book that lends strength to that concept is this book, The Golden Age of the Moor. There hasn't been another book to outdo it, so I don't have another one plus this one. This is it, The Golden Age of the Moors. Everybody in our group should have it somewhere within their reach. It's that valuable. There are a few loose ends that Dr. Van Sertima did not tie up, but he certainly did an excellent job in compiling a group of essays concerning this record of the past, not his story. See? That's what's in the back of your subconscious, the records of your past. That's what we're looking for in terms of accomplishments, achievements, successes, pronouncements, inventions, creativity. See? The gathered wealth of the past. See? Your ability to lay the foundation of governorship in the land, to structure a civilization to live by and to give forward to the next generation. Those are the records of the past. And at the center of that is self, the center of knowledge on this planet is about self. Not Jesus, not Muhammad, not Buddha. Okay? It is about you. How do I know that? First by study and then by a statement. This book is not about Jesus. It is not about Jehovah. This book is about you. See? And it's found in this concept, which is emphasized in separating the two books. Testament. Does that spell right? Or should this be T-I? Is that right? Okay, all right. It looked a little strange up there, writing it so large. This is the Latin. That's where this word comes from. Testimenti. Testi, body, or testicles. Okay? Menti, mind. Old body, old mind. New body, new mind. That's what this book is about. Okay? But on top of it, on the surface, is this doctrine that the theologians scraped off to present to the believer. Not to the knower, not to the seeker of truth and knowledge, but to the knower. The system is based upon this number. Where do you first meet this number? Anybody? The most constant place you see this number is where? No, before you get there. Where? Before you get there. Where, before you get there. It's got to be the clock. The constant. 12 hours of daylight and 12 hours of night. You see? The measurement of the moving of time in space and circumstances. There are 66 books to the Protestants' scripture. This is the Protestant Bible. This is not the first Bible. Okay. How many sons does Jacob have? How many disciples did Jesus have? How many stars are there in the heavens? Tricked you there, didn't I? There are only 12 in this book. The heaven in this book is not the same one up there. Though they're up there, but in this book it's 12. There are 12 gates. There are 12 pearls. I mean, the 12 goes on and on and on to set a standard. And it doesn't start off in the deep part of this book. The Kabbalistic writers got busy on chapter 1. Verse 14. And the evening and the morning were the first day. And God said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heavens to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years. What is that? No, it's not. Can't be astrology, because it's not a calculation yet. It's got to be what? It's got to be astronomy. Yes. The presentation of the heavens as the measuring device for the activities on this planet. That is in chapter 1 of the book of Genesis. How many Christians you think know that? You can count them on one finger, not one hand. You know? Because they're not in pursuit of knowledge, which means that they're not in pursuit of self-knowledge. One of the most important theorems of the Kemetic culture was, man, know thyself, and you will know the gods. Then be true to yourself. It's right here in this book. Man, know thyself, and to thine own self be true. It should be on the head post of every church that black folks walk through. And you won't find it on none of them. Because they're not going in there to get self-knowledge. They're going in to hear about Jesus. And they've been hearing the same group of sermons for over 100 years. The same sermons. Over and over. You know, it's amazing how ignorance prevails. It is amazing. You know, and they got this book stuck under their arm. Chunk full, based on Moorish science. The reason we know that, because it's based on the Kabbalistic system of writing. And that is a Moorish invention. How do we know that? Because of the circle. Who measured the circle first? Your parents. Measured out the 12. Gave them 12 names. The 12 names of those signs are translated into 12 sons in this book. They're called the sons of Jacob. Those are the 12 signs of the zodiac. That is not astrology. That's zodiac science. That's the square zodiac before you get to the round zodiac. See? What I'm emphasizing here is not only the importance of self-knowledge, is that somebody knew it was important, put it in a book, and gave it to you, and didn't tell you it was in there. That's the easiest way to hide it. It's just hand it to you. You know? It's amazing, you know. I mean, it's you talk about clever, crafty, and cunning. Those are 3 Masonic terms. White boy is clever, crafty, and cunning. John chapter 10, verses 31 to 36, is the central theme of all knowledge on planet Earth. I don't see nobody writing that down. Unless you already know. If you already know, that's fine. But I like to see pencils get busy when I mention that one if you don't know about it. 31 to 36.
The basis of what?
All knowledge on this planet. Whichever one you all want to read that. John chapter 10, verses 31 to 36. Read it out loud so they can hear you, my sister. Don't be embarrassed. You're among friends. Verse 31.
Chapter 10, verse 31.
Yes, beginning of chapter 10. Chapter 10, verses 31 to 36. I thought I handed it to you. I got it marked there. Right, start reading.
Then the Jews took up stones again to stone him. Jesus answered them, "Many good works have I proved to you from my Father. For which of those do ye stone me?" The Jews answered him, saying, "For a good work we stone thee not, but for blasphemy, and because that thou, being a man, makest thyself God." Jesus answered them, "Is it not written in your law, I said ye are God?"
Stop. Read that again.
Jesus answered them, "Is it not written in your law, I said ye are gods?"
Go on.
If he called them gods, unto whom the word of God came, and the scripture cannot be broken.
Okay, that's good.
Say,
I want you to stop that because I want you to go to where he points to. If your scriptures so read, then it cannot be broken. The scripture he's talking about is Psalm 82. Turn to the middle of the Bible. Psalm 82. Midway in the Bible. Verse 5. Verse 5, read there.
they know not, neither will they understand. They walk on in the darkness, All the foundations of the earth are out of course.
Go on.
I have said, ye are gods, and all of you are children of the Most High. But ye shall die like men, and fall like one of the princes.
Thank you. Okay. Let's stop there. G-O-D, code word. G-O-D is not God's name, put it that way. Generator, operator, destroyer is the codex inscriptus of these three letters given to the English-speaking Masons by one of your ancestors, Benjamin Banneker Bay, Big Ben, because before that they were using this concept. That's an old Bible. If you found one of those, you'd probably have to pay $200 or $300 for it. Dios, deity. G is the brain, generator. O is the soul, operator. D, the destroyer, is your sacral vertebrae where the cosmic fire comes up that destroys darkness, fear, disease, poverty, and sickness. That's what makes you God. And you're in the making of that from now on. There's no point where you reach this, because there's no point where infinity stops. That's your destiny. That's the journey. The Torah, the Tarot, the journey is into the nature of infinity. You see? The most important concept in human culture is the revelation of this truth, not on a blackboard or in a book or in a classroom, inside. Is why it's important. Because when it comes inside, it changes and keeps changing you and keeps changing you and keeps changing. Why dignity is rightfully yours by your nature. Why God has so many names. That's what name means, nature. So your name means something to your nature. Even though it's in English, you know, the slave master's language, well, the slave master didn't create language. The universe did. And the universe speaks all languages. And all language is relevant to human beings, wherever they are. Whatever they're thinking with is relevant to what they're thinking with. The cerebral nervous system. So your American English name is relevant to your abilities, your powers, your function abilities, your nature, your character, your characteristic traits, the cycle of your life is all relevant in terms of your name. Whatever your name is. Okay? I think I have a copy of it. I wanted to show you. I have a copy. Did I bring it? It's the question I'm asking myself at this particular moment. If I didn't, it's laying right on top of my table where I looked at it all day yesterday and all day, all afternoon. I didn't, did I? Let me see. I have a rather peculiar copy of I don't want to waste too much time looking for it. I can still talk about it without it. I wanted to have some kind of image here to show you. I can't find it right now. The cover of the Moorish Science Quran Circle 7 was the legacy of the Moorish temples inheritance. And they didn't know it until I got down here. Well, let me do it this way. It's not just a circle, it is the zodiac and the 4 gates with the 7 in the center. And every Friday they get it and turn the cover, you know, and go right past the science. So they ended up with a religion to believe. See? That this is the standard of all organized thought on planet Earth. Everyone with life is born in that circle of zodiac, is recorded in that circle. That's from the smallest ant to the brightest star, happens inside this circle. The 7 is symbolic of perfection on the physical plane, It is also symbolic of the 7 planets in our solar system. The moon and the sun are luminaries. They're not planets. They're only counted as planets in the numerical order of things of 9. 7 also represents a very unique concept. I'll do it this way. This is the latest revelation I got from this circle. Oh, nobody saw that, right? Did anybody see that? I was wondering where this one was. Right. Heart. Right in the center of the circle, the number 7. And it was just a couple of months ago I got this, and I've had this pamphlet since 70, but that revelation just came, only recently. You notice K-O-R-A-N is not Quran. You notice it's spelled with a K. The first time I noticed that was on the marquee of a Masonic lodge on 32nd and Euclid in Cleveland, Ohio, the Al-Quran Masonic Lodge. And I thought, well, how come it's spelled with a K instead of a Q? You know, and I kept walking and kept walking, you know. And nothing happened, you know, but it stayed on my mind. It stayed on my mind. One day, a few years ago, Spirit released the whole thing, just released it. You know? Knowledge, order, rhythm, astrology, nature. That's what you study. There isn't anything else. It's not, this is the way you spell Quran on the Quran. Q-U. R-A-N. And brothers made extra efforts to get it right. Quran. What we supplement to be knowledge. Now here is the interesting thing. Keep this word in mind. I want to show you why this is so interesting in terms of code inscribe, hidden knowledge. Right? That's who you are, right? Right? Let me hear a nod or something, unless you don't want to be Lord now. That's when you're perfecting, when you master the heart. That's the difference between Negro and Moor. Between G-O-D and even this. That's what man means. And the first man is who? Who's the first man, sister? I like to put you on the spot. Womb who? No, it's not woman. Look at it. It's right there. Womb man. That's the first man. That's mama. That's how you get down here. Ain't nobody higher than her down here. But we've been treating her like we're higher than she is. Walking behind us. I mean, it's a strange idea if you think about it. She who rocked you to sleep and woke you up every morning and fed you your first breakfast. Walk behind me. That's deep, man. If you wonder why the planet has been so foul to the male population, and it's been foul to the male population, it's given them the energy of war instead of the energy of love. Because they mistreat the highest symbol of love on this planet. This is a female planet. Uh-oh, your ass in trouble. Yeah, it has much to do with that. And until we straighten it out, there will be wars and rumors of wars. You see? Hell, history bears me out. You know, no need to try to prove it. Yeah. And I want you to see what you're going to study in this course in terms of this body of real Moorish science. If I can get this to stay up there without falling off. These are the 12 essence of Moorish science. This includes the esoteric schools, the Masonic order, the metaphysical school, the New Age movement. It does not include the Negro Baptist Church, but it does include the Negro Baptist preacher, because 80% of them are Masons. Symbology is the language of nature. See? And the first way we have to prove that is with this very conspicuous symbol that all humanity can see. Let me take this down for a minute before it falls. I'll draw it this way. Where do you find this symbol? Anybody but Bobby, because he already knows. Where do you see this? There's no such thing as a crescent moon. The moon is always full. It's a matter of what's passing between the sun and the earth that gives the shadowing, this art of nature that presents this illusion of a half moon, a crescent moon, a quarter moon. There's no such thing as a 5-pointed star in the heavens. There are 4 points, 8 points, 16 points. But if you cut a Macintosh apple open horizontally, you'll find a perfect 5-pointed star inside the Macintosh apple. See, on several types of leaves, you'll find a perfect symmetrical 5-pointed star. The 5-pointed starfish in the ocean represents nature's design of the 5 points, which is man. The 5 points of projection is a symbolic representation of that 5-pointed star. What's that? What is that? Right. Arm, leg, leg, arm, head. But that's not Arabic. Those are English letters. Okay? And that's important to cognize. See? Not Aleph, Lam, Lam, Hamza. Okay? The Codex Inscriptus, the code written into the scriptures, the dictionary, and other esoteric writings is a part of the essence of Moorish science. Symbology does not begin with the European. It begins with nature. The first custodians of that knowledge were your ancestors, who interpreted and translated through vision, perception, and clear logic the meaning of nature and designed it for the recording for the future in pictographic language called Agu, according to Yosef ben Yochanan, which means to scribble, scratch, or draw. Okay. Numbers are part of that language. How many months did it take you to have your child, a young lady? How many? Only 8. Oh, okay, you're the exception. Well, it should have taken you 9. Oh, I'm pushing it down? Okay. Very good, okay. How many numbers are there in mathematics?
Only 9.
Thank you. How many planets are there in our solar system? Thank you. Can you hear me? Can you hear me back there? Okay. How much is 3, 6, and 0? Okay. So there's something up symbolically with the number 9. Okay. How's that look? Pretty straight out there, y'all? Okay, thank you. Numerology and universal law. I group those together because the concept numeros in the Latin means number. But numeros means harmony, melody, and metric is the meaning of number. See? These and so forth are the symbols that represent harmony, metric, and melody, which is what supports the universe. Numeros. That is universal law, functioning, doing what it does, because it is what it is. The essence of what truth is, that which changes everything and changes not. If you want to know what truth is, that which changes everything, yet changes not. Those are the 7 pillars. I went and got the wrong book here. I'm supposed to reach and grab this wonderful little book here. This has become my Bible, and you need one of these. Don't want one, need one. It's a marvelous little book. There hasn't been anybody that's come up with anything any better. What's the brother's name that did Ancient Future? He incorporated it in his book. Tried to improve on it and almost got in the way of universal laws. I can't think of his name. Yes, Chandler. Right, very good, yeah. It's worth having, but it's clearer from this perspective. So be sure and get yourself a copy of the Kybalion. That's the Greek word for Kabbalah. We'll eventually, in the course of the 12 weeks, take several looks at universal law, because they don't go away. I mean, you know, okay, I mean, as you study and study and begin to think with them, your own spirit, your own mind will show you where they are in what you read and how to use them, because you're always using them. You live, move, and have your being in him. That's not Jesus. It's universal mind that you live, move, and have your being in. And if you function with universal law will function with you. That's the major key to success. As a man thinketh in his heart, whatever a man conceives and believes, he will achieve. The psychological assumption automatically provides the means for fulfilling the dream desire. Universal law of mind in action. That's how the mind works. But it works both ways. It will work for you or to work for you. In other words, if you fail, it's because you programmed yourself to fail. No one's fault. If you succeed, it's because you program yourself to succeed. It's your glory. Of course, you give thanks to the universe. You know, that's always good. So your ego doesn't get out of whack. It is I who have created all things. I've come. You don't need to read the 2 books before you get there. I've created all. I've done it all. Oh boy, then here comes nature to kick your legs out from under you, put you back into perspective. Astrology and astrotheology. This book, where's my Bible? Thank you. Is based on astrological physiology and astrological theology. How do we know that? It's based on 12. That's how we know it. It's based on 12. And it's based on 12 and who? The son of who? Come on, somebody help me out. The son of who? Can y'all see that from back there? You can't? Oh, okay, let me move this out of the way. Can you see it now? Can you see that now? It's almost still too low, huh? Based on the Son of God. You see there, don't you? In the center? What do you see in the center of the circle? Come on, y'all. It's there. You don't have to, it ain't no vision. It's the Son, isn't it? The only Son of God in this solar system. You see? And all men who come as the Son of God represent this divine sphere. No, that's good enough. We're not going to get too far into it. I just want to make this emphasis because I'm not trying to take away anything from the divine beings who came before us. If they weren't gods, then we are not gods. You see? But I'm saying this, you're not looking for them. You're looking for yourself. And that's what this book, the Bhagavad Gita, the Quran, the Rig Vedas, all of the ancient literatures, the ancient Book of the Dead, or the Book of the Master of the Secret House, is not the Book of the Dead. That's what it's telling you. And it begins in Genesis chapter 1. No, not chapter 1, chapter 5. When Noah built the ark. Okay, let's go back here. I'm trying to inscribe this concept of 12 in the circle. That's why I keep going back to it. Yeah, okay, that's good right there. Okay. Look at these 2 words. These are interchangeable because I can spell Catherine with a K and I can spell Catherine with a C. This is the ark hidden behind this ark. Okay. How do we know that? Because of the next statement, which is what? Noah built the ark. Then what did he do? Come on, you Baptist folks. All y'all Baptists, and don't be jabbing me. Every one of you Baptists. He brought in all the animals. How many at a time?
2.
By 2. Now, we got to look at this differently here, because this is an astronomical map. The ram and the donkey. That's Libra is the donkey. We'll get into how that's proven the bull, and the scorpion. Here in the astronomy chart, it's the eagle. Gemini and Sagittarius, the human and the horseman. Capricorn and Cancer, the goat and the crab. Leo and Aquarius, the lion and the human animal. 2 by 2. That's all the animals there are. There are only 12 animals in this book. Okay? If you wonder how Adam named all the animals, okay. We're going to take a close look at that. The metaphysics of the astrological theology is based on the story of the unfolding of the spiritual man, whose name is what? In Genesis chapter 2, he begins. What's his name? Right. That's his name. It's Adam. Okay. And to the second Adam, that's his name, Atom. The evolution of the atom to the spiritual height of the atom. That's Christ. Christos. Gres. In the ancient Kemetic language, it is Gres. Crowned, anointed, and mummified is what Gres means. Horus. Maybe not the first Horus, but one of them. There were several, according to Kemetic records. The stories that you're reading about is that evolution, that development, that journey of the soul to the point of unfolding, to its highest point of divinity, of man. This book does not deal with the cosmic being. It only deals with the superconscious being. And it certainly does not deal with the infinite. The infinite is not in here. But a representative of his is in here. Tehute, in the book of Job. The one who came in the whirlwind. The metaphysics. Meta, above physics. Above physics. The laws above physics is metaphysics, which means the mental physics that governs the physical. Mind governs the physical. 5 minutes? Okay. We're going to look at Moorish records of the past, the subject of astronomy and the system of astronomy based on the square zodiac and the round zodiac in this book. The myth makers, your parents, those who structured mythos, the ancient writings, the fables, the hidden truths. Scriptural symbology, which is different from universal symbology. In other words, if I took all of the 12 names of the sons of Jacob out of the Bible, they wouldn't have any relevance to astrology. They're only relevant to astrology in this book. That's just an example. Masonry and the science of Masonry, how it's connected to Moorish science. Some great black Masons of our history that will surprise you, such as Jack Johnson. And the Codex Inscriptus. And of course, meditation techniques will be given. How to meditate and the techniques you use before you meditate, because technique and meditation are not the same thing. Okay. I think I lost my page here. I want to go right to the Codex Inscriptus. See if I can. do this without taking up too much time. The 12 sons of Jacob are not the 12 tribes of Israel. We're going to take a look at that so you know the difference and have the evidence of why rather than belief. You don't have to believe me. All you have to do is check up on me because I give you the material to check up on me with. This is the Codex Inscriptus, the structure inside of it. Allegorical language and stories, fables and stories, the mythologies that are where hidden knowledge is placed in the story form, the legend, cosmic law, astronomy, astrological theology, sign and ensigns, again, symbolic language in such clear-cut forms that you don't think they're symbols. And one of those I love to do is show you the statement on the back of the dollar bill. It says, in God we trust. Yeah. And that isn't what it says. And it's right in your face, you know, but it's so symbolically ensigned that you don't know it's a sign. It says, in God we trust one. And you turn it over, and that's the one they trust. Cryptological writ, which includes the mathematical code in the scriptures, is a part of the cryptology of the scriptures. And symbology numbers, or symbological numbers. Mathematics and symbology is the essential part of biblical writing. Two extremes that seem to have no relevancy is the substance of esoteric writing for all scriptures. The universal law that holds everything up and holds everything together. Without a rhythm, there is no life, no continuity, no form, no shape, no functionability. When the rhythm is bad, the results are bad. When the rhythm is chaotic, the results are chaotic. When the rhythm is down low, the results, the behavior, the thinking is down low. When the rhythm depreciates, that's a rhythm of death. When the rhythm is high, that's a rhythm of life. That's what you're standing on, is what supports the turning and the moving of this enormous planet in its solar system and stays in its orbital position and doesn't run into Jupiter and run into Mars and run all off based on the law of rhythm. So it's important to know that you think with rhythm, that you conceive and perceive with the law of rhythm. If you want to know why black folks are musically addicted to music, because they can sense the law of rhythm. But it's what the musicians are interpreting it to be. They're not giving it back the way it comes to them. To regain the equilibrium of the soul is the supposed reason the African interpreted the music of the spheres. To re-establish the equilibrium, the balance of the soul is the reason your ancestors interpreted. Notice I'm not saying invented. This is a musical creation, so you know we didn't invent it. Interpret music. The 2-4-6-8 rhythm of melanin is what puts you in tune with the universe. But there's a low and a high. Bad music, low. Great music, high. If you want to know why behind this stupid behavior is all this rapping and behind it, behind the bad behavior is bad music, bad rhythm, bad behavior. And it's not going to change until they change the music, the lyrics, and the rhythm. It's not going to change. They're getting rich on it. but they're killing us, literally. See? The crown chakra, this marvelous head that only a few select black folks seem to be able to recreate. There aren't that many on this scale. The oval shape is still there. I mean, I see it all the time. Little brothers with the peanut heads, you know. Well, that's a wonderful cranium because that's the way their brain is shaped. And the secret is back here. The occipital prominence is the real secret to that wonderful head. We might find out what that means. I don't know. There's a lot of information on here. We could go on to the next class. I'll break down here. Hebrew, you see it's next to an astrological construct. And here this is supposed to be a web here, okay? Why that's a web? An anagrammatic writing. This is Greek. Though I know the black Hebrews don't know that. That's a Greek word. It's a code word. It is not haribu. It's what Dr. Yakanan presents. Again. Her web is zodiac. This is her web. 360 streams. So we're going to look at Masonic language and Masonic symbology as well. We're going to study this man. And as you note here, you see on that particular chart, there's something in the center of his chest. Anybody know what that is? What is that called? No, it's not called Tehuti. The caduceus, the staff of Tehuti. Yes, you'll find that in Malachi chapter 2, verse 4. Right there in the Bible, the caduceus. Okay. I won't stop and read that for you. If you write this stuff down when you get home, you'll have it to check me out. Check yourself out, okay? Picture of Abdul Ali, Benjamin Banneker Bay, and his fez, which is in the Washington Memorial Library. It's up there. That's a brother that's in Cleveland that's quite a spiritual traveler, called an astral traveler, L.C. Bay. These are the 12 symbols or glyphs of the 12 signs. These are the 12 sons and their names and their signs. These are the 12 sons and their body parts. Swastika is a Sanskrit word. In the Codex Inscriptus of the Latin language, it is Zanoni, the star child. We'll do the 4 parts of 7 later on. Scriptures quoted relevant to a very unique concept that I love to throw out at the group. Slave, obey your earthly master. Did y'all know that was in the Bible? the verse that the preacher don't read. And I recall one Baptist preacher that raised the Bible up in church and said, I believe in every word in this book. I just dropped my head. Slave, obey your earthly master. Because I knew he didn't know what it meant. See? It has nothing to do with slaves, or physical. It has nothing to do with master outside yourself. The glands are your servants, or your slaves. They are slaves if they are not obeying your divine command. If they are guiding you, they are slaves. If you're guiding them, they are not only your servants, but I now call you my friends, you're supposed to say to your glandular system. See? That's how much power and control you're supposed to have over yourself. That's when you're becoming a man. Master, able and noble. To master the earth is to master the body. This is the earth the scriptures is talking about. If you master this earth, you master that one. It's the same stuff. We looked at the star and the crescent. Bobby told you Ma means son. So what is that? Now look at it. It's right in your face. Now, I'm unraveling the mystery. Huh? Thank you. All right. Mother and son. Ma, son, Mason. The basis of spiritual science is the nature of the mother and her son. See? If you wonder why the black man has no respect for his woman, because he doesn't know who he is. So you know he don't know who she is. When he gets that knowledge, then he's able to give respect. Certain levels of human behavior is a privilege. You see? There's some people who can't do any better, who can't behave any better, who can't think any better, who can't control themselves. See? They don't have the privilege to do that. It is a privilege to be a human being. It is a privilege to master yourself. It is a privilege to become God and God-like. It is a privilege to love. Any questions? I can go on for another 2 hours, but I ain't Bobby Hemming. Bobby will talk to you till tomorrow. Yeah. But I have about 7 of these posters, $15 a piece. If you want this one, which is a record of some of the most remarkable imagery of black folks in history that some of you all do know about. For instance, some of you all, because if you read Dr. Yakinite, you've seen this, right? You know who that is? A black man, not a Greek, Samosian. Dark skin, broad nose. What? Oh, raise it up? Oh, okay.
No, I had a question.
Yeah.
When you asked the question, you mentioned Zayonis.
Zayoni.
Right.
Yeah.
Where do they come from? Where do they come from?
Not a people.
Okay.
A symbological entitlement of the spiritual man into becoming.
Okay.
Star son, or star, the reason I put child is because it includes the woman and the man. Moorish science includes mama and her son. It's not based on malehood.
Okay.
It's based on humanhood. And she's the author of humanhood. All that.
Okay.
This won't be in Castille's dictionary.
No, I was just thinking.
It'll be in Manly Hall's dictionary. So we got quite a bit of studying to do. If you're interested in discovering who you are and marveling at that idea, and then finding a way to open yourself to your own divinity until that light shines forth, well, this is one way in which you can get that started. Notice I didn't say get it done. Get it started. It is an ongoing process. Okay. But the rewards are worth the effort. Any other questions? Now, the one key I want to explain about my approach to Moorish science as opposed to who else is out there teaching it. Inside. We're not talking about the revelation about what's going on out there. Okay? We're not talking about the Holocaust and the falling down of buildings. We're talking about inside. Okay? This knowledge is about your nature, your purpose, your ability, your power, your talent, your genius, your opportunity, your cycle, your life, where you're going and how to take it there, and how to turn around and hand it to those whom you love. Yes?
Talking about the class, when does the class start?
Next Sunday at Negro CP time. That means whenever y'all get here.
If we serving food, they'll get you an hour early.
Now that's not a bad idea.
Food, they'll be there
As soon as you say refreshments or food, Negroes will be on time. You got a very good idea there. Yeah, that's a very good idea. Maybe the brother heard that back there.
fried chicken,
Yeah.
chicken greens, hot roll,
Yeah.
iced tea. Oh, we'll be there, eat it all up, there we go.
You look at this. This is a very important concept here. Because when we think star, we think of two types of stars, those in the heavens and those in the movies. You know, and it's far removed from that and more relevant to you than what you think in terms of what is in your nature. See? The reaching inside is what educate is all about. Educare, draw out that which is within. Educo, to draw out your nature, to draw out your genius, to draw out your creativity, to illuminate your imagination. See? That's what's inside. And the thing about it, it has nothing to do with age. You go on doing this forever and forever, unfolding and unfolding. See? The great journey. And one thing about it, you can't get off the path. You give a damn what they're doing out there. They got to come and lock their heels at some point in some lifetime and start to go up. Everything goes back to the divine. Lucy went back to the divine. Everybody goes back to the divine, from whence we all come. So it doesn't matter what they're doing down here. That ain't them. That's the coat. That's the coat acting like the soul. And it's not the soul. It's all about divinity. But the sooner you discover the greatness of yourself, the more you're able to help yourself, and the higher up on the scale of unfolding you can accomplish with that body. Because one of the objectives of the great masters is not to have to come down here and take another body. To go through the womb and get another mama, go marry some other woman, make some more babies, get another job, go to jail again, get out. So you keep climbing as high as you can so that when you get there, either you don't have to come back, or if you do come back, you decide where you're going to come. So you pick out some rich parents who are well-educated, good-looking. You can do all that shit. You know, when you're up there looking down, you can look, oh, there's a nice couple. Y'all need a kid, you know? Instead of being, energy pulls you back down here, you know? Back down on 8th and Huff. Everybody's screaming and throwing, because they'll be throwing bricks for another 100 damn years down here. Negroes will be arguing and fussing and fighting and cutting and shooting and shit. They'll be shooting with ray guns next time they get down here. And not until we change our thinking can we change our behavior. It has nothing to do with the European. You know? He can't make no laws. He's making rules and regulations, and he's changing them every other week. You know? So it's not up to him. It's not his fault, his problem. He run around scared to death, looking all behind him, you know, like we used to do back in the 30s when we walked down. You know, in this very city, black folks would be out of here by now, be headed home before dark. You know, it's got to get home. It's going to get dark soon. I still hear black folks saying that. I got to get home. It's going to get dark soon. You know, that's when they used to catch you, gang up on you, you know, beat you up. If they was drunk enough, they'd hang you just because you was there. Becoming divine changes all this other stuff. You know? Poverty is an illusion that we accept and act upon and affirm it. I ain't got nothing, man. I ain't got it. I'm broke. I just ain't got, we do more affirming what we ain't got than affirming of what we do. So we condition our mind for poverty. You see? The mind is your servant. You're inside the mind, inside the body. You are the master, the mistress. Mistress is the feminine word for master. Moorish is the feminine word for Moor. See? So you tell the mind what you want the body to do. You tell the brain how you want it to think. That's what we're going to learn how to do with affirmation, positive thought. So you should get some results in 12 weeks. See? So tell somebody. We should get these chairs filled up in here. This is a great opportunity for this area. What I'd hoped for was new students rather than keep getting the same ones back again. I did that 3 years in a row over there in the West End. I got pretty much the same group of students coming back and back again. The energy in the West End is so low, it's a wonder you can get a good, decent hello over there. You know, it's really low. So there's nothing flowing through the atmosphere that inspires you to want to think up, to do something else besides get drunk, smoke dope, play records, chase a sister, you know. I mean, there's got to be something up here. That's what we're trying to get to. Okay. Lecture 2 will be The Black Man is Buried in a Shallow Grave in the East. And we began the first part of our 12-week course. I recommend that you get and bring a Bible and a notebook tablet so that when you write something down, it stays in one place. You know, one sheet of paper here and one sheet. And when you look back after 12 weeks, you'll be amazed how much you've gathered in that 12 weeks. Then I have an 87 Moorish inquiry to give out. It's not to test for grade, it's to test for you to test your own ability to recall. That's what testing is about. Do you know what you know? Is what a test is. See? Not if the teacher thinks it's right or not. Do you know what you know? If you know what you know, then you've learned. If you don't, you start all over. But if you put it in your consciousness, it's there. The quest of question or inquiry, can you recall what you heard, saw, smelt, felt, or tasted? Okay. Peace be with you and with your spirit.
All right. What we're trying to do is basically keep some spiritual outlet, some conscious outlet in Atlanta. Like I said, it's taking space class all over the country. This phenomenon that graced us the last 14 years.
is the desire to know who we really are. Came about with historians first, black historians. I mean, you know, and the organization I'm a part of, ASCAC, is one of those organizations whose members, whose scholars, anthropologists, and historians went back and began to research and began to look again at all this knowledge that the Greeks have today. Now, most of us don't realize that they have bodies of knowledge in Greece right now that they took from ancient Kemet. Nobody has access to that knowledge. We have no idea what those brothers knew. And here these brothers talking about the metaphysics. Those brothers in ancient Kemet, the priests, they had it. I mean, they were so heavy that they had knowledge that nobody on the planet Earth had. They built the pyramids. Do you know anybody who can reproduce a pyramid? That's right. Do you know why? Because the knowledge was in those brothers' heads. That same knowledge that our ancestors had is the knowledge that we possess to this very day. That's what this brother's talking about. All we need to know is who we are. It's that simple enough. Once we understand what this body represents, once we begin to understand what our names actually represent, once we begin to understand this concept of mind, the concept of the heart, you know, the concept of this of the spinal column back here. Remember the concept of God. Once we begin to understand that knowledge, then we have an excellent understanding of who we are. And I'll take it a little bit further than this brother said just now. I don't think we're not just about unleashing those shackles on our mind. We need to become a nation again. And I want to talk about that people, who we really are. Who are we? And then we're going to start off by going back to ancient Kemet, to the very first civilization. I'm not saying to our beginning. You know, we can't go back that far. We don't have that knowledge. We can't go, we don't know enough yet. But not that